Baby wants his belly rubbed. I want his belly rubbed.
Vogue, what are you doing?
Huh? What are you doing?
Bogey, you big bogey.
Autumn. Oh, good morning everyone and welcome back to the Bullybreedsuk UK YouTube channel. If you are new to the channel, please do not forget to hit that subscribe button and click that little bell. It will give you notifications of when we upload new videos. Today's video, I'm going to show you guys how we prepare our dog's breakfast. And I feed this type of breakfast every other morning. You know, you're probably asking yourself, how come you only feed this type of breakfast every other day? I've been feeding the breakfast for years now for these dogs, and I just found, should I say, when they was having it every day, there was quite a few of them that still would have runny stools, runny poos. So yeah, I just knocked it back to every other day, and it just seems to have settled a lot better. Don't get me wrong, your dog could be totally different, and he could have it every day, and could be fine. So don't. One thing you got to remember, peeps, is everybody's dog's different. Always remember that. What suits my dog might not suit your dog, or what suits your dog might not suit my dog. You got to bear that in mind, okay? When you're feeding raw, just always bear that in mind. So, without further ado anyway, let's get into it. I'm going to show you... Oi! Dynamo! Pack it in! Look, he's barking at the workers down there. Yeah, so without further ado, I'm going to get into it. I'm going to show you how we prepare their food. I'll show you the sort of portion size that I give the dogs as well. Remember, if you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and remember, make sure... Alright guys, I'll quickly show you what it is that I actually feed dogs for breakfast. So we have some Spratts. Each dog has 4 to 5 Spratts, and we have day-old chicks, and the smaller dogs have 2 each, and the larger dogs, they have between 3 and 4 each, depending on how many I've got out. The night before, because obviously this is all frozen and I get it out the night before so it all can thaw out enough. And yeah, and I also put in the male working dogs, they get their stud dog in the mornings, and they also get a little splash of pure 100% salmon oil. All this food as well is, I don't feed it to them whole, I chop it all up, and the reason being for that is I had a bad experience one time with Pablo when he was younger. I'll quickly just tell you about that. I used to feed the dogs. If you follow me on social media and you have done for a while, you'll know that I used to feed them all when I had less dogs, that was as well. Pretty much by hand in the morning. I'd just go around out in the garden, let them all out in the morning. I'd give them all a bit by bit. And one morning when we lived in the old house, I had some small younger dogs inside the house, and I got in there to feed some of them, and I was chopping up the chicks. And I dropped a whole chick on the floor, and Pablo, who at that time was only about 12 weeks old, no older than 12 weeks old, probably even a bit younger, maybe 11 weeks old, and he grabbed the whole chick, and I went to get it off him, but he swallowed it, and I thought, oh, it's all right, he swallowed it. 2 seconds later, well, about 10 seconds later, he's walking around in circles on the floor in front of me, and he literally just passes out on the floor. Scared the absolute living shit out of me, I'm not gonna lie. Probably one of the most scariest things that I've ever been through. Math was there with me as well. Basically he passed out, and he was choking, so I managed to get the chick out of his mouth. It was right in the bottom of his throat. I grabbed it, pulled it out of his throat. He started screaming. I'd give him like a sort of Heineken maneuver. I know it sounds funny, but it's true. Give him sort of like the Heineken maneuver, put him back on the floor at my feet. He started running around in circles, then he literally just killed over and dropped on his side. So I picked him up, grabbed him, ran into the bathroom with him, and I give him mouth to mouth, believe it or not. He had a little bit of blood coming out of his nose, so when I give him mouth to mouth, like blew inside his mouth, I had blood all around me, like his blood. It was so traumatic, honestly, but he survived. He came back round, he was in the bath, took him outside, on the phone to the vets for a little while. Long story short, he was all right, but that experience there absolutely scared the living crap out of me. So ever since then, I've always chopped up their breakfast, so it's nice and small bits. Don't get me wrong, the big dogs, i.e. the Bullies, Dynamo, Cairo, Hugo, I don't chop them up so small for them, but all the other ones, I make sure they're a nice size, so there's no more choking hazards, because I definitely don't want to go through that again. It was an absolute terrifying experience, and I do not recommend it for anybody. As you can see, it's a little bit of a messy job chopping up their breakfast and getting it all prepared right. So if you're a bit squeamish, I probably wouldn't recommend feeding your dogs this. Takes a bit of time as well, but it's worth it in the end, trust me. One tip I will give you as well, see when you're cutting up the chicks, cut the feet down a little bit and then do the bottom and you get that yellow yolk. Make sure when you're cutting that yolk, you can be, whenever you go head first and start cutting the chick down this way, honestly I swear it always seems the yolk, you get to the yolk, squirts out, goes all over you, it can go in your eye and everything. I've had it in my eye, I've even had it in my mouth before. It was disgusting, man. Yeah, so this is the chicks nearly done. Just got these last two quick and then I'll show you how we chop up the sprats. Only just figured out that little tip there myself about cutting them from the bottom first, literally a couple of months ago. As you can see, look, you get to the yolk and it just drops out, because sometimes if you try and chop that yolk straight in half first, it goes everywhere, honestly, and you don't want it in your mouth. It's not nice, it's not nice, it's disgusting. Right, so that's the chicks done. Next, all I do is I get 4 sprats in my hand. It's just a case of dropping them up, being careful not to take any of your fingers off. Like that. 4. Again. Like that. Last 2 now. I want to see them all standing at my feet. Look at them all. Look. What do you want? You little menaces. Right, so that's the fish all chopped up, and now is the 100% pure salmon oil. Everyone, sorry about that guys, the battery just ran out on the bloody GoPro. So as I was saying, this is now the 100% pure salmon oil. Everyone just gets a little splash of this, like that, and then just give it a mix round, and that's the finished product. Chopped up day old chicks and some sprats. And don't forget as well, who have we got in here? We've got TikTok and Dave, so they will both have a little splash of some stud dog as well. Just give them all a nice mix round. Get that salmon oil in there. Just like that. Obviously, when you get your own, if you do use stud dog and you do it all yourself, you'll probably use the measuring, the syringe that comes with it. But I've been doing this long enough now, I don't really need to use a syringe. I sort of know how much each one needs. Oh, I've got Pablo and Merle as well, so they need a bit. Pablo and Merle. And that's the stud dog. Don't forget, it's available on online on the Bullybreeds UK website, which is bullybreedsuk.com. Matt, I'm going to leave these two over here, there, Pablo and Mo, because they've got a stud dog in it. And then we've got TikTok and Dave. And as you can see, guys, TikTok and Dave are living proof. They put it on there, so put it on there so it stops moving for you. It literally don't last 2 seconds. Good girl. Alright, honey. Honey's loving hers. Honey has to go in the cage and eat hers because she's a slow eater and everyone else takes it off her. Look. Bro, you thought I forgot about you? Of course I haven't, silly. Of course I haven't. What's that? Good girl. Look, guys, told you, it really don't last long. Finished, Dave? Door? Well, that's the first 10 done. Now for the next lot. Okay, so now I'm on to the bigger dogs. I don't tend to chop them up so small. It's just probably four simple chops. Get the legs off. And just bear in mind, when I say we feed them whole chicks, it is everything. For everything, like I say, from the beak all the way down to their tiny little claws. They eat the whole lot. But yeah, so the fur on them is a natural wormer. So it acts as a natural wormer. So if you're feeding your dogs with a lot of items that contain natural fur, then there really is not much need to worm them. And that I can swear by that. As long as you're giving them enough fur throughout the month, or however often as you might decide to worm your dogs, then there really is no need to load them with any tablets, any unnecessary tablets, because all this is a natural wormer. Forgot then I was doing the bigger dogs, so it's just a couple of simple chops. Get rid of that yolk. Here it is. Bam, bam. That's it. Right, let's give them ones a little bit of that one. Same with the Spratts as well. I don't really need to get them tiny like I do with the smaller dogs. So we'll just a couple of little snips and that should be fine. Last one. I've got a couple of leftover Spratts there now. I'm just going to divide them up. What's left over? Nearly done. So yeah, if you've got as many dogs as what I have, it is a long old process. Don't get me wrong, it takes about 45 minutes to an hour every morning to do their breakfast. But as I keep telling you, it is so worth it. The benefits from feeding raw really does speak volumes. Once you've been on it for a few months, you'll notice it. As you can see from the condition of all my dogs, they've all got amazing coats. Even dogs that usually suffer like with bad coats, i.e. my Shar-Peis, they don't really have many issues, to be honest with you, with their skin. Don't get me wrong, their ears and their eyes ain't always the best, but feeding them raw, giving them the additives, and also with a couple of the other products that I use that are on the website bullybreedsuk.com, their skin is much better. Let me just whip this glove off. Right guys, that's it. So one thing you've always got to remember as well when you're feeding raw is you're working with raw meat as well. So make sure you clean down all your surfaces properly afterwards, because you don't want any accidents happening. You don't want anyone getting any food poisoning or anything like that. So please make sure all your surfaces are proper wiped down and disinfected afterwards. But that is it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe, and also if you liked it as well, give us a little thumbs up and drop us a comment, guys.